On the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. Thumbnail today is more or less just poking fun at Starmer, and we find out maybe, possibly, that Mr. Khomeini might actually be a little bit on the lighter and the loafer side. I wanted to put on the thumbnail Poofter because I thought it was funny, and then I was going to put on the bottom of the thumbnail, this is British for homo. And I thought it was going to be hilarious, and I truly do. But then I realized it was going to get banned in Europe, literally banned. Like, so YouTube would freak out on me, which would be the only place that would, but there'd be likely takedown orders asked for other... Anyway, I opted to go with this instead. It's sort of tongue-in-cheek, right? Anyways, I got some stuff with Iran to talk about. Obviously, a little bit about Mr. Silly Boy. Strange what he's been up to. And not up to, I guess. Standing being one of them, apparently missing a foot or leg. We've got some interesting things going on, a couple really cool things to start with, and we've got the potential to put the Save America Act into play. It's going to be very interesting how this all plays out. Also, I've said this many, many, many times, and I pay a lot of attention to what's actually transpiring in life and what shows itself. I've said that a lot, guys, because until something happens, then we can still affect it from a group consciousness standpoint. There's been a lot of suggestions that there is something kind of major on the global scale, biblical scale, that is playing out. There is a version of this story, and I don't want to piss people off, so I don't know if I'm going to totally put my tongue on this third rail, but I'm going to try to talk around it a little today. It's the end. I got something that I piss some of you guys off, but I'm going to say some specific facts, and we'll kind of move from there. But there are two paths that are pushed right now. One of those paths was created by the deep state, or the service to self path, the left-hand path. It's called a lot of things. And the other path is a positive ascension path, the right-hand path, the service to others path. There's two different paths. And you're going to choose which one you're on. There's no guarantees that you're on one or the other. Your choice is how you end up there. So please understand that I think there's something big going on, and I honestly feel the most important thing is where you're at in your mind and heart, period. For you, specifically. What you've got going on in your mind and heart. Whether your heart's clear, or if you're somebody that's constantly throwing stones, everybody else is doing stuff wrong, probably not looking inward. Get right with yourself, because time is drawing nigh. And the things that are playing out, the bad path is trying to go down a certain direction. That direction's not necessarily going to happen, at least not the way they want it to. And the good path will play out how it does. Why do I say that? Well, here's the main reason, frankly. First off, I got some cool music that we're going to pull. Boston singer, the second singer. He wasn't the original singer, which sucks a lot. He died. So the second singer of Boston died recently, and I was like, well, he was the second singer, so I can't really use that as a reason to feature him. But then it dawned on me. I'm like, but yes, I can. So I'm doing a 4 for Friday. I've got 4 bands with 4 songs. I think I'm going to mix them together, 4 different blocks. And I'm not going to tell you the 3 bands, but I think they complement each other rather well. So it's going to be in that genre, if you will, of music. Boston is, ever since I did the Boston show, I've fallen in love with that band. If you guys haven't listened to Boston, you've seriously got to give them a chance. Boston is, it's not just the songs that you hear, but there's actually a few other ones that are a little toward like more B-sides. Oh my God, they're so good. So I'm going to play at least one of those because I have to. Oh yeah, no, we've got to show this. This is crazy. So you guys have heard of the doomsday fish, right? They've been showing up all over the place in the Pacific. All over the place. And whenever they show up, there's all these prophecies that bad things are coming or changes are coming. They're showing up all over the place. Now, this is a very interesting situation in which 2 show up. These are very super deep water fish. Very super, super deep water fish. No one ever sees them. Unless for some reason every once in a while, maybe right before they die or something weird or some sort of spawning thing, I don't know, but they're swimming up to the surface, and they don't do that. So anytime they've ever been seen, it's, it's kind of like the Mothman. Something bad's coming. This is crazy. They put it back in the water, so they saved them. They didn't die. Maybe that's a good sign. I keep thinking, what path are we on? Again, this is, you tell me, I don't know.
I didn't believe my eyes. It was something out of like a fiction movie. I had never seen anything like it before, and I just remember thinking, like, is this real? And honestly, when I saw the second one, I got a little nervous. I'm like, what's going on that there's two? It was in Cabo. We saw something in the distance. It was flashing, and it was really bright. And when we saw them up close, it was like nothing we've seen before. So we were like, this can't be real. My sister, she just cannot stand anything in pain. She reacted super fast. There was a little girl with her that reacted super fast too. Just watching like all these men standing around, and she throws me her phone and her drink in her bag. She's like, hold this. And she's just diving on in. I think a lot of people were very hesitant because nobody really knew what it was. It's not every day you see that. And I mean, I don't blame them. I was yelling at her, just wait, let me check what it is. As soon as she saw that it was dying, she was like, I didn't care. And she started pushing it back in with the people on the side of the beach. As we're walking back, we see another one, and we see the other one trying to get back. And we're like, what's happening? Like, there's two now. She ended up getting it pushed back in, and both of them ended up swimming off. We just kind of kept watching to see if it would do it again, and then they both disappeared. They both ended up swimming away. We kind of sit down and we're like, what was that? And we kind of get out our phones and start reading about it.
So, yeah, this is very, very cool in my mind, right? And did we divert something? Is this, I mean, I don't know. I'm not trying to read too much into it, but I am saying it could coincidentally, depending. You've got a lot of confusion at work here, but was this a place where we might have changed the outcome? And in fact, maybe the doomsday might not be as bad because we were able to save the fish, because normally they die. But we've been seeing them, so it's still a sighting. I think it's still significant. So, again, I don't know. Strange times, folks. Strange times. This is something that all of us have to consider, because right now there's a lot of us that have super negative people in our lives. And this is, we're going to start here, and then I'll give a couple bit more here.
Negative people ruin your life. There was a study that was done in 2006 called the Bad Apple Effect, where they took a group of 5 people and randomly added a negative person to some of the groups to see how it would affect the groups while working on tasks. Groups with 1 negative person did 40% worse on all of their tasks, and the quality of their work decreased by 25%. They also found that the groups with a negative person had 50% more conflicts, which led to more disagreements and less collaboration. The crazy part though, the real crazy part, is these sessions were only about 30 to 60 minutes. Some of you have had a negative person in your life your entire life. Imagine what they are doing to you mentally. You have to be okay with letting them go, because your mental health is so important that you need to prioritize that over everything else in your life.
Yeah, it kind of dawned on me. That's one sort of, I think, how the separation is going to occur. There will be people that will leave our lives. But I wanted to give some examples of positive experiences in your life. And I'm not sure which one of these two are more positive for the other. You tell me what you think. It's fantastic. Right? That's cool as hell. Cool as hell. And I'm jealous. Man, kind of boogie, right? I like how you just do that, right? And then, well, you got to do some footwork. Okay. But the dog's got it. That's cool as hell. I don't want to watch that stupid tip-top thing. I'm going to have to edit out anyways. Giant volume spike. Love it. Here's Donald Trump predicting, well, talking about when he predicted Obama, or Bin Laden. Weird mistake there. What a strange misspeak. Anywho, when he supposedly crashed into the towers. Now, Trump even said the fact that they came down, I mean, that was back then. He was one of the people talking about it. Like, I build buildings. There's no way. It's impossible. Anyway, here's Trump talking about it.
A weapon, which I predicted a long time ago, predicted all of this stuff. You guys were very generous in that. I predicted all of it. I predicted Osama bin Laden would knock out the World Trade Center. I made that prediction a year before he did it. I said, you better get him. He's a bad guy. I watched him be interviewed one time, and I said, that's a bad guy. You better get him. 1 year before exactly, I wrote it in a book. You can even check about a year before the World Trade Center came down. President Clinton actually had a shot at him, and he didn't take it. Unfortunately, I'm not blaming him for that, but he didn't take it. And he ended up knocking down the World Trade Center, but I predicted that too. I predicted a lot of things.
Yeah, he has predicted a lot of things. A lot of things have come true. Most. Again, there's the things he doesn't talk about that we know he knows. That's a little scary. Susie Wiles, his chief of staff, apparently has been diagnosed with breast cancer. She is going to take this challenge, I guess, head on, and she will still continue to work for the White House. I'm not going to read all of this because I've got 2 of his posts over here that are so stupid long. I apologize for that in advance, but I do think it's worth it. His words are solid, unless you guys have read it already, in which case, sorry. All right, sorry, I had to edit and save you guys some painful time there. Anyway, here's apparently people scattered. Yeah, you heard the gunshot. So you hear the one gunshot, that's it. Then everybody's just panicking, which is cool, by the way. How many people are suddenly very limber? Running in the sand is very difficult, by the way. It's one of the hardest places to run. In fact, most people that jog on the beach jog on the part closest to the water where the sand's really hard. It's significantly easier, and you don't get as much sand in your shoes. But yeah, very hard to run in sand. Barefoot, with shoes, doesn't matter. Any of you guys not ever done it? It's like people that have never seen snow before. It's like, you've never seen snow? It's like, how have you never seen snow? And again, I know you can live in a place that never has snow. It's just weird to somebody that's like seen a lot of snow. You know what I've also seen, especially here in California? A lot of overweight people. 94% of us have insulin resistance, which means our body doesn't really process carbos the way they should. So as we age, especially, and that I think that insulin resistance gets stronger and stronger, really, as we progress, and a lot of it is diet induced. We have a lot of foods that we eat that we shouldn't. All that said, you doing everything normal, continuing exactly how you are, all I'm asking you to do is mix a little packet of delicious powder into some water and drink that. Which we all need a little more liquids anyways, but it's water in this powder. It's got this Unimate or Yerba Mate? Yerba Mate, it's some cactus thingy. It's got that and some science in it. Now, it's going to give you a little energy. It's going to help kind of tide you over, and you're not going to crave. You're not going to snack. You're not going to want. You're just going to, you'll be kind of cooler with kind of hanging tight on not eating, or eating less anyways. Then when you do that twice a day, and I recommend early, like real early, and then like reasonably early, because it does have a little bit of a caffeine effect kind of. So it's got caffeine in it. So you don't want to do it late in the day because it'll keep you up at night unless you're not sensitive. But Balance has no caffeine, and Balance is what you drink right before your dinner. It's a fibrous mixture that coats your stomach, adds some fiber in there, so it already kind of makes you feel a little full. And it's got science that's helping you digest carbohydrates a little bit differently. And it helps you actually start to lose weight. It brings down your sugar levels. It's bringing down A1C levels without doing anything different at all, other than literally taking a packet that's this big, and it's delicious. I mean, I love the lemon. The lemon is delicious. I tried the pomegranate. I don't know. It tastes okay. It tastes like tea with pomegranate. I don't know. The lemon's way better in my mind, but the pomegranate's good. I haven't tried any other ones, all right? That said, Balance is good too. There's orange and there's a berry flavored one. I don't think I've tried the berry yet. The orange is great though. Tastes awesome. But you want to mix that and drink it quick too. It's one of those things you don't want to leave it lying around, because the fiber starts to kind of expand with time, which is what it's going to do in your stomach. And this is where the magic really occurs. I just want to play examples. We got 3 of them here. Claudia is a good one because she's actually one I've got the video of. Check this out.
At age 50, my doctor kept wanting me to take a statin. I didn't want to. And finally, he talked me into trying Lipitor. It was new on the market. And within 3 weeks, I woke up one morning and I did not have legs. I could not stand. It turned out to be neuromuscular disorder. I gained like 59 pounds in 3 weeks. That's when I became type 2 diabetic. The blood sugars went sky high and they never came back down. I wanted to die. I was hurting so bad. Of course, was on metformin. And then another year after that, I started the Trulicity. I met a new doctor that I had never seen before, and she walked in the room and abruptly said, "Your A1C is 10.4." And I came home. I was sitting back in my bedroom and I was very depressed, very upset. I picked up my iPad and I was looking on Facebook, and someone had posted a TikTok video of Yvette talking about this protocol. And I said, what have I got to lose? I ordered it that day. I started on it on October the 11th last year. By December, I had to quit taking the Trulicity because my blood sugars were going too low. And by that time, I had lost 37 pounds and my A1C was 5.1. I felt so much better too. So in January was when I actually started working on the fasting. I'm off of all medicine. My cholesterol was always like 386. Now, as of April, it was 226. I'm just so thankful.
Yeah, this product's amazing. And Feel Great's what it's called. Feel Great. And you do. That's the thing. It's kind of, I don't want to say a trip, but it is. It's like I actually look forward to drinking the Unamate in the morning, especially before I work out. One, the energy boost, but two, it just helps with the hunger. It helps with all that. And it does a lot for me in that regard. And that's one thing I generally eat later in the day anyway. And it just, for me, it helps. There's other reasons why, it might. But what I understand is it helps with cravings. It helps with all that stuff. If you're somebody that's snacking all the time, it's going to help. And then the balance makes a big difference on your digestion. OTFspecial.com. OTFspecial.com. Check it out. It's 3 boxes. You do 3 a day. 1 balance, 2 Unamates. You're going to love it. You're going to love the way you feel. And again, not doing anything different. But as you start losing weight, which will kick in like within a month or a little more, month or 2 typically. When you start losing weight, you start getting lighter on your feet. When you start seeing your numbers come down, when you go visit your doctor and they're like, wow, what are you doing? Because things are looking better. And I've got multiple people in my audience telling me this. Changes lives. And you start walking around more. You start becoming more active, playing with the grandkids or whatever. It makes a huge difference. OTFspecial.com. OTFspecial.com. You will notice the difference. And look at this. If you get off on some of your meds because you start getting healthier, suddenly you don't need statins and all this stuff because you're testing better. Start saving some money too, don't you? Mm-hmm. So sometimes you spend a couple bucks to save some money, and it kicks in pretty quickly. People are noticing. Within 3 months, we're seeing huge changes in people. OTFspecial.com, OTFspecial.com. It is, of course, your journey, but yeah, it's a beautiful product. You definitely want to check that out. All right, so this Save America Act stuff's going on. First off, wanted to start with, they had new intelligence now. They found out the Michigan synagogue attacker, his brother, I guess, was the Hezbollah commander who was killed. So this might be directly related to the war. Interesting time that we've got the TSAs closed and that Department of Homeland Security is not funded, during a war and during attacks on our own country right now. But, we've got to make a point on immigration, right? Democrats, I forget what your points are ever anymore because they generally don't make sense and hold up to any sort of scrutiny. But it's fun to try. Donald Trump truth this. The crazed Democrats are not allowing TSA agents to get paid. The deal was made a long time ago. They broke it in order to get money for sanctuary cities and illegal aliens, many of them hardened criminals. The radical left Democrats are hopeless. President DJT. Interesting when he does it that way versus writing it out. Some of this is, we are in the transition, folks, between the corporation and the actual entity United States, right? So I think there's 2 different things happening at the same time. And Crown is involved directly with the corporation, which is DC, which is all that crap. But the rest, I don't know. I don't know where our capital originally was. Some of you historians, that probably would be likely one of the places, or maybe it does become Mar-a-Lago, which would be sort of weird because it's right next to the water. It doesn't seem very secure, but you could probably make it so. President Trump's allies are planning some sort of weird takeover in the Senate. We're hearing, again, this is the Hill, so it's kind of putting it as the, we're the bad guys. But this debate, we've got a couple people talking about it. They're like, supposedly in the article, they're sort of keeping it close to their, the cards close to their chest. But it's like I don't think that's true. We've got Mike Lee here talking about it, and I mean, him and I think I got Luna also.
Okay, important update on the Save America Act and the effort to get it passed. Look, I am guardedly optimistic. We've turned kind of a corner. Over the last few days, there's been some uncertainty about exactly what procedure we will be and will not be using. In the end, we've been working closely with Leader Thune and his staff, and they've been great to work with. What we're coming up with is something that I think is best described as a hybrid version of the talking filibuster. But look, let's not get mired down in nomenclature. What matters far more than what we call it is what we do with it. We're going to bring it to the floor. We're going to debate it for an extended period of time before filing cloture. And in my view, at least, I don't want to speak for anyone else, this bill needs to remain on the Senate floor before we file cloture on the bill for as long as it takes to get it done. Now, the fact that Leader Thune and his office have been willing to work with us on this, and they appear open to a variation of that, is a good thing. So let's keep up the momentum. Let's encourage them to continue to do this. Let's put the bill on the floor. Let's make those who want to filibuster speak and keep it on there as long as possible. Thanks so much.
So I guess, because otherwise we're just going to talk about it a lot, and then we'll vote no. Like, it's basically what he said. But, maybe, we're going to see who's willing to put their money where their mouth is. Who is willing to save their career. That's what he's doing. He is literally forcing them, the rhinos, to show themselves. Because not very many people are going to support this. And what we might very well get, because it would be the American thing to do, but we'll see. Because, again, unless you're the one that has to walk that road. But there might be 5 of them, 7 of them, that actually do fight for this. Maybe 10 if we're lucky. Maybe Fetterman, that actually filibuster for this. 85% of the population wants this. 79% Democrats. But when you break it down and everything else, it's overwhelmingly over 80% support this. 4 out of 5 people everywhere that are legally voting are for this. And the way they're really trying to make it hard, the proving of citizenship. And again, I mean, if a lot of us have had to do it at some point or another, especially if you've got the real ID. I think that tied it in too, by the way, but whatever. We'll see where it goes. So, this is what we're hearing also. And this was more from Mike Lee. And he's talking about how there is some way they're kind of working on making it a little bit easier to verify your citizenship, because there are difficulties for people that are married when their birth certificate no longer matches. And, there's a lot of shit that has to happen there. There is some difficulties if it requires you to have a passport and you don't have one. It's not cheap to get a passport. So there's some problems with it. Now, the number he gives, it's not really true. I just literally recently got mine done. It's the number they say if you get both the book and the card. If you get just the card, it's like, I don't know, $50 or something like that. It's like not totally expensive. So you don't have to get the book too. I mean, it's kind of cool to have the book. Like if I actually go someplace, it'd be cool to have it stamped. Like, right? Isn't that kind of cool? I don't know. You guys travel. I have never ever needed a passport to go anywhere. So, one of these days, got some possible trips coming up. We'll see. Oh, I got to play it. Sorry, guys. I'm going to watch it again.
And no one will be excluded if they can't find their documentation.
All of us should be aware of the fact of what is required by this act when it comes to registering to vote. You have to present identification, correct? But your driver's license, which most people use in the course of business every single day, is not acceptable. What is acceptable is a passport. 50% of Americans do not have a passport. Those who want to obtain it so they can vote will pay $186 and wait 3 or 4 weeks for that to happen. Secondly, you can use a birth certificate, but any person who has changed their name as a result of a marriage or a hyphenated relationship has to find not only their birth certificate, but some correction of it to prove that they're eligible to register to vote.
I'm happy to
Now, am I wrong? Just real quick, I got to interject. Isn't he being a dick? Can't help it.
report to my dear friend and colleague, Senator Durbin from Illinois. You're in luck. We've taken care of that. When you read the bill, what you'll discover is that we've made special accommodation for those who don't have documentation, for those who can't find their birth certificate, maybe their house burned down, maybe their dog ate it, whatever it is. When all else fails, if you don't have documentation establishing the information on your birth certificate or what would be in a passport or otherwise, the bill contains a provision requiring each state to allow an alternative mechanism by which someone can, by attestation, issue a sworn statement establishing the critical facts underlying their citizenship. It then puts the onus on the state to follow up on that and to determine the authenticity of it. States have access to their own records. States have reciprocity with other states and are able to achieve verification of that. So we've taken care of that problem, and so I'm sure you'll be elated to hear that, and we look forward to having your affirmative vote when we vote on the Save America Act. We took great pains to go out of our way to make sure that no American would be left in the dark.
Well,
this will not cost them a dime, and no one will be excluded if they can't find their document.
Stop being a dick. Let him talk. That said, this is ripe with fraud. The one concern I have, and it's a concern I have on both sides, like all these people talking about the Articles of Confederation or whatever, like, that's what we need. Okay, first off, let me just say this, guys, okay? For all y'all that think that's what we need to do right now, think about all the governors and all the senators that currently exist. If we went into Articles of Confederation now, slavery for the rest of your life is what you get. If we fix the vote and finally get accurate votes of people that should be voting and people that shouldn't don't, this world and this country, well, this country, then the world, is going to change a lot. We are far more conservative than what they're doing, and we've got a lot of people that are messing with this system horribly. Now, to say that you're going to give the states this ability to certify someone's citizenship and then have to follow up on it, oh yeah, that's not money into politicians' pockets to make sure they never ever look into any of those things ever again. California, Minnesota, New York. How does that work? Is it if they're not auditing and doing it, but then if they just do bullshit audits, then, like, how could this possibly work? Again, this is the Senate. As much as I want to like Mr. Lee, what they're providing is fucked up. Now, again, what might happen is a lot of people are going to have a hard time voting, probably, or registering anyways. Many will be able to. Those that can and vote, the numbers wouldn't be nearly as big probably, but they would probably favor conservative-ish direction, which would be left center all the way to the right middle. I'd say the extreme right's is still a little wackadoo. I think we need to kind of keep tabs on all those people too. Now, this is a fun little thing that's going on right now, and it's an optics game that's playing out before our eyes. So if you really pay attention, you're going to learn a lot of interesting things. The way Trump works, the way he sits back, the way he'll kind of stir the pot a little and then step back and let people do things. Even Paxton came out and kind of said, I'm not going to quit. And that's really what Trump wants. But Trump's like, well, that might not work out well. I said, one of you is going to have to drop out. And Paxton's just been on a roll, put out that bitchin' ass video that shows Cornyn attacking Trump. I played it recently. Like, if you miss any of my shows, it's unfortunate because I reference stuff. I don't repeat it over and over. Shows are long enough. But this Cornyn guy's trash. This Cornyn guy's being supported by the deep state. The people that are coming out for him, the people that are coming out to support him. Just look who it is. It's obvious. And then Trump is going to, I think, he's going to let us kind of figure this one out. And of course, the guy that's going to win is going to be the squirrely-eyed dude, not the pretty guy. That's who it should be. Like me, I don't have a face for video. I have a face for radio, but yeah, right? Paxton. Doesn't necessarily have a face for camera, but he's a lovely guy. He's doing it, busting ass, right? Even with that one eye, he could probably kick my ass, right? So whatever, let's go. Cool, probably shoots like a mofo. So that said, this Cornyn thing is playing out very interestingly. And Trump is just, again, stirring. Because everybody knows Cornyn's a pile of trash. In MAGA, anyway. People I'm talking to, my audience. This is going to be fun. That's all I can say. I guess maybe we should be worried because the people that are locked in, like the asleep Republicans, and there are many. There's so many people that think they got this dialed in just because they are on the Republican side, and it's just like, no, that so doesn't mean you're awake. Especially after you talk to them for about 4 seconds, you're like, you don't get anything. Actually, it's unfortunate. You're on the right side, so you're cool. Thanks. Get your pom poms and keep rah-rahing. I appreciate that, but Donald Trump said this, and that's not you I'm talking about. It's other people, crazies. Donald Trump. Okay, 2 long truths. So forgive me, and I'll do my best. Because reading a lot of stuff this is like voiceover work is such a pain in the ass. Been doing a lot of it lately, and it's brutal. I'm not doing a super good job, but I'm doing okay. All right, all said. Donald Trump truthed this big long thing. He's pissed off at the Supreme Court, and he's calling them out, and that's why I think it's so important. The decision that mattered most to me was tariffs. The court knew where I stood, how badly I wanted this victory for our country, and instead decided to potentially give away trillions of dollars to countries and companies who have been taking advantage of the United States for decades. Our Supreme Court has made these countries very happy, but as the court pointed out, I have the absolute right to charge tariffs in another form and have already started to do so. The hundreds of billions of dollars that our adversaries want our country to pay back to others that have disrespected the USA until I came along should be marked down in the eyes of the public as just another reason why the United States has been in such a major decline. But not anymore, because we have made America great again, and very soon it will be greater than ever before. Need new hats now, shit. I want to thank Justices Alito, Thomas, and Kavanaugh for their wisdom and courage pertaining to the tariffs case, and for understanding, in addition to the law, that our unfriendly competitors should not be reimbursed and rewarded for the decades of damage they have caused the United States of America, capital letters. I will fight hard to make sure that this does not happen. The Democrats on the court always stick together, no matter how strong a case is put before them. There is rarely even a minor waiver. But Republicans do not do this. They openly disrespect the presidents who nominate them to the highest positions in the land and justice of the United States Supreme Court, and go out of their way with bad and wrongful rulings and intentions to prove how honest and independent and legitimate they are. The Democrat justices just vote Democrat. They always stick together. Our country was unnecessarily ransacked by the United States Supreme Court, which has become little more than a weaponized and unjust political organization. The sad thing is, they will only get worse. They wouldn't even call out the rigged presidential election of 2020 because they said that I, as the President of the United States, did not have standing to challenge it. And now, with time, it has been conclusively proven to be stolen. And look what happened to our wonderful nation by allowing a grossly incompetent man, Sleepy Joe Biden, to be our president. This completely inept and embarrassing court was not what the Supreme Court and the United States was set up by our wonderful founders to be. They are hurting our country and will continue to do so. All I can do, as president, is call them out for their bad behavior. The statement about the United States Supreme Court will cause me nothing but problems in the future, but I feel it is my obligation to speak the truth. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Make America great again. I am Donald Trump, and I approve of this message. He didn't say that, but anyway. He does I want to point out that he puts the United States of America in President of the United States in camel case. He does these things on purpose, and so He, many have suggested, and I think it's likely true, he was 46 as well, under the new agreements that he forged in his first term. And he got elected again on their weird thing, and apparently is serving his third term also probably as president of the non-corporation version of the United States. The old Constitution? I mean, again, how that is or what that is, I don't know exactly. I would assume it's that old, because I've just always heard about this switcheroo that kind of happened in 1871 to 1878 was the finale of that or whatever. I think there was a couple pieces or whatever. Nah, I'm not the historian. The fact that I remember the numbers is impressive. That's all I can say. As long as I call them numbers and not dates, we're good. So this was the second part two. The courts treat Republicans and me so unfairly, always seeming to protect those who should not be protected. They are highly politicized. Cases don't matter, the judge does. As an example, how is this absolutely terrible Federal Reserve Chairman, Jerome Too Late Powell, not even allowed to be investigated for the horrible job he does? How is he allowed to be billions of dollars over budget and years behind schedule on the simple renovation of the small Federal Reserve complex in Washington, D.C., where he created an absolute disaster, a money pit and embarrassment to our country for the whole world to see? It is a little project that has been under construction for many years. Now, just first off, guys, he's probably building a bunker or something underneath it. Probably. And that's why it's so expensive, because tunneling stuff. Anyway, he continues, because that's not public, right? So I think that's part of what Trump's doing here. He's highlighting how ridiculously expensive this is. The contractor on the job, along with Powell, should also be heavily investigated, in that it is impossible for a professional to have such enormous cost overruns. It is the highest priced building per square foot of any project ever built, with no end in sight, and may not even be open for years to come. I strongly criticize Jerome Too Late for his horrible performance throughout his tenure, which is either gross incompetence, total dishonesty, or both. And in return for this well-justified criticism, get viciously and wrongfully blamed by, as usual, a wacky, nasty, crooked, and totally out-of-control judge named James Boasberg, a man who suffers from the highest level of Trump derangement syndrome and has been after my people and me for years. The D.C. Circuit eagerly supported the arrest and persecution of innocent Republicans for no crimes at all, but is now preventing even a basic investigation into the gross financial mismanagement of the Federal Reserve. In case after case, Boasberg has displayed open, flagrant, and extreme partisan bias and contempt against Republicans and the Trump administration. To preserve the integrity of the judiciary, he should be removed from all cases pertaining to us and suffer serious disciplinary action, as should numerous other corrupt judges that, unfortunately, our country has had to endure. What Boasberg has done on the Too Late Powell case and many others has little to do with the law and everything to do with politics. He is exactly what judges should not be. Boasberg would do better to focus on justice and fairness, not his own and the Democrats' political agenda, which has become legendary, much like prosecutor deranged Jack Smith and many others. Boasberg is a disgrace, as was his predecessor, to our legal process and our highly politicized court system, which was just witnessed firsthand by the unfortunate and unwarranted tariff decision recently handed down by the United States Supreme Court, which was a gift to the countries and companies who have been ripping off the United States of America for decades at levels never seen before. There we go. So a lot. I apologize. And that was, yeah. It's a lot of words, though. Energy Secretary directs oil companies to resume operations in California. California is going to sue on this, but they're getting the ball rolling. So, yeah, because they consider it a national security threat, which it is. California now is having to import oil. Supposedly, we get our oil from, guess where? The Arabian Gulf. That's very interesting. I did pull some statistics, I think, in the Iran section, maybe. But, yeah, I was kind of curious how many countries and which countries got, like, the oil, basically, from there. So I got some cool little breakdowns of how much kind of comes out of there and who all's getting it. So we'll check that out. But yeah, Santa Ynez unit pipeline system, they're going to try to turn it back on, and they're going to start pumping out in the sea again. Of course, California wants to fight it. I mean, if there's an oil leak on these things, which rarely happens, but they do occasionally happen, but you don't like just stop doing good technology because every once in a while you have a problem. You just get good at containing the problem when it happens. All said, it is nasty when oil spills happen, that's for sure. So yeah, this is going to take a while to get going, but we'll keep tabs. California seeks an end run around Supreme Court to reinstate gender secrecy policy. So they're trying to get the Ninth Circuit, which is the most overturned circuit of them all since 2007. They hold the record of most overturned cases. All said, they're trying to rework the order after the Supreme Court already ruled on it, and so now they're going to change it, and then it won't be the same exactly because the Supreme Court ruled on something that's now been modified, which I don't think is legal. So they're trying to do a little skirty skirt so they can still keep secrets, probably because there's some students that they're running out of time, or California's not going to get a bunch of money, and the education money they get from the government, the amount of money we give for that education system, it's over $1 trillion. So California gets a crap ton of that because it's by population. And it's by students showing up to school. So all these kids dropping out and stuff, or when they take days off, those are days that, we're not giving that school any money for that entire day. No students were there. And they're like, no, some were there. We're like, nope, we're just going to assume none were there because you just did a protest and took a bunch of children and put them in harm's way. That's not okay. That's not what a field trip is anymore. It's what they've become. But so anyway, California, crazy. Department of Education says Colorado school districts' gender identity policies are violating Title IX. They found a school district, Jeffco Schools County, Jeffrey, whatever. But yeah, Jefferson County or whoever they're called. There it is. Jefferson County Public Schools. Anywho, yeah, they're allowing boys and girls sports and all that stuff. They actually list out all the violations, pretty good form. A lot of the ones in sports. The sports ones are really sad because you're literally kicking a girl out of sports because you're allowing a subpar boy. Apparently, New York's bail reform, these 3 Salvadorian nationals walked out free after getting caught by officers with gasoline and Molotov cocktails. Literally. And they're all tatted up like total gangbangers, or at least one of them is. And they let them back out on the street. What's a criminal going to do if they never get in trouble? The fact that people aren't screaming about this just baffles the mind. It's one thing to talk about all the stuff that's hidden, right? Like child trafficking and stuff. It's horrible. But this is right in front of our face. This is something we got to be making noise on, I think. Chicago's apparently doing something stupid now to try to get some of that federal money back. They're trying to make the subway transit system safe again. Trying to put that one on a hat somehow. So Chicago Transit Authority, they are trying to clean up. They've got this new policy in place. 75% increase in monthly policing hours, expansion of the CTA's mental health outreach, bunch of stupid stuff. We'll see. I mean, they're saying it on paper so they can get the federal money. I would hope we trust but verify because there's no way in hell Chicago's going to be honest. Chicago's broke. They are so super broke right now. So super broke. Especially with just everything, and they're trying to shut down the GDP. It's just awesome. They're just killing. They're shooting themselves in the foot over and over. So, yeah, fun times. Good times to be alive. Bank of America, they settled a civil lawsuit that were brought by women accused, people that got sexually abused by Jeffrey Epstein. So apparently Epstein had a lot of Bank of America accounts, and they were making money on the deals or something. So whatever the case is, these have all been settled. Most of this information will never be known. Everybody's like, unseal the files. It's like, guys, there's so much stuff that we will never see. Oh, apparently terms of settlements, not disclosed, but Lawyers previously secured $290 million from J.P. Morgan and $75 million from Deutsche Bank. So maybe we'll get somewhere in that vicinity. I don't know if it gets disclosed. But cost of doing business. Yeah, so if you bank with any of those companies, well, that's why your interest rate's so high, right? Because they're busy doing this kind of stuff in the background. Awesome. Slow progress is pushing Trump administration to talk with Westinghouse rivals. So this has to do with power. This is a big concern and certainly being highlighted in a lot of ways. China's building nuclear reactors like mad right now. And I don't know how much of that's catching up versus how much of that's just trying to replace coal plants because they're very inefficient and coal's maybe not easy for them to get, right? So there's reasons why, and they became nuclear not long ago, all said. They're building them like crazy. Now, that's a little scary, too, because if they build them like they build anything, then they're going to have issues. And that, cloud of radiation oftentimes does go travel far. But it's, China doesn't seem to care too much about its own people. If it kills its own people, it's like, it saves us money. But they lose money, too. So I don't know. A lot of questions around it. But we are trying to work with other companies to potentially bring in building reactors. If we're going to have data centers, we need nuclear reactors. There's almost no other technology that would come close, right? No other technology that would come close. You need gigawatt factories is what they need to be. And right now, Westinghouse is the only company. They have this AP1000. The AP1000, it's made of a metal. It's the newest thing that's out there, gigawatt scale. So this is giant amounts of power and reasonably efficient. I mean, it's really super efficient, really. I mean, it's expensive to refine uranium, but we kind of got a lot of that, so, or plutonium, whichever we're using for these. I don't even know. Probably uranium, maybe. All said, markets, gold's down a little. It's back up over 5,000. It was under 5,000 earlier, which was interesting. Silver's at 81. Okay, that's actually holding. Crypto was... Yeah, okay, it went back up. So crypto's all over the damn place right now. I love it. People are moving money around in weird ways right now. And crypto's a fun place to put it for, I think, a short time, without a doubt. And it's keeping it up above. But it's going to have another bad day for some unknown reason, right? Who knows? Oil is at 94, so it's dipped way below 100. So we got a lot of interesting stuff happening right now. That's for sure. What's Europe look like? What are their markets? They should be closed for the day. They're all up. That's cool. Asian markets are solid. So everyone's happy right now. Oh, there's the war going on and the price of oil. I don't know. Everybody released a bunch of oil, and so maybe that did affect the price because it's well under 100 now, which is like an ugly point. Anywho, we'll see. This is interesting. It's good times. Again, if you're in a 401k or an IRA, yeah. I would recommend protecting some of that wealth. It's buying power. It's the ability to still buy whatever you can buy today with those Federal Reserve notes, especially stock market's been having a tough little time. It's down a bit. So all said, it's a good way that you can protect some of your wealth, as much of your wealth as you want, but you turn it into precious metals. You do it tax-free, penalty-free. That's the important part. You can't touch the money because it's pre-tax money. If you touch it, you get taxed and penalized hardcore. It's written into the contract. That's the way it works. It's not Goldco doing that. It's like if you cashed out your 401k, you would pay penalties and taxes. It doesn't matter. It's just how it works. So that said, you move it sideways as much as you can, and you turn that into precious metals, and boom, bada bing, that's kept. And those are physical metals, yours. You literally can have them paid out to you at some point in metal if you want. They can convert it for you, or you can send it straight to you. I recommend getting the metals at some point. But you want to go to drslikesgold.com, drslikesgold.com. That system's kind of getting weird and shaky. This deep state's got to come down. They've got to. What's that mean for the banking system? What's that mean for the stock market? What's that mean for a lot of things? Yes, certain things are going to rise from the ashes. Yes, things are going to be good and bright again. But yes, at some point, there's probably going to be a bump in the road. Deep state's trying to do one version of that path. We're trying to make it as good as possible. Somewhere in the middle is where we're going to get, I hope, or maybe even super good. Who knows? We'll see. But it's drslikesgold.com. Protect. drslikesgold.com. Protect that wealth while you can, and you can get out of that system. And don't let them play with your money, by the way, right? Because that's what they're doing right now. Got President Trump saying something is going to happen in Cuba pretty soon. It's audio only.
Talking to Cuba, what do you want to hear from them? And
Well,
what is that risk for them?
I am holding Cuba. Cuba's a failed nation. Cuba also wants to make a deal. and I think we will pretty soon either make a deal or do whatever we have to do. We have a lot of great people that happen to vote for Trump, not that that matters, but we have a lot of great people from Cuba that were violently and viciously thrown out of the country, and worse, their families were killed. And so we're talking to Cuba, but we're going to do Iran before Cuba.
And what is at risk?
You know, people have been waiting 50 years to hear this story with Cuba. When I left Palm Beach today, there were thousands of people on the road. I'm sure you saw them. And they were from Cuba and from Venezuela, all friendly, waving the flag and waving the American flag. They've been waiting 50 years for what's happening with Cuba. So I think something will happen with Cuba pretty quickly.
Do you really think the Iran school strike, is it looking more likely that it was the U.S.'s fault?
Yeah, something's definitely going to happen with Cuba pretty quick. That's for sure. We're going to see it play out. Merkel's blasted for calling on migrants to vote against populist AfD party. Can't make this stuff up, guys. Literally, Germany sounds like they're on the cusp of waking up, which it should be the company or countries that are kind of the wealthier countries, because that's the ones that see the biggest falling decline in what once was. So the good old days. And yeah, Germany's a mess. It's deep state hardcore. Europe's hardcore deep state. We've still got a lot of deep state in our legislative branch. A lot of deep state. Some of them are going to get on board. Some of them need to be identified and removed. Or replaced, I should say, is a better way to put it. All of that said, we need fair elections to do that. You can see where they're already trying to cheat, and you can see this is how the deep state thinks, which is mostly Democrat-controlled, rhinos as well. But they don't want just anybody to be able. They want anybody to be able to vote. They don't want to be able to control that. That's why they don't even clean dead people off the voter rolls, and they sue to not have to. It's like, why would you want dead people there? What are you doing with the dead people that are on there, and why would you keep it? Would you sending them birthday cards every year for 10 years, and then you delete them? Get out of here. That's not what's happening. Zelensky's accusing the EU backers of blackmail. See, Trump's put the EU in a kind of tough place, especially when it comes to Ukraine. We're not giving them any more weapons. So, yeah, you can do whatever you want, man. You can want to keep I'm trying to get this war to end, and you all keep wanting to supply them weapons and fight the fight, and Ukraine's getting their asses handed to them. But, okay, sure. We're not going to be a part of it. Now, Hungary's doing the same, Turkey, a lot of these guys. But now he's talking about this blackmail. He's saying that restarting Russian oil shipments, the fact that we're not sanctioning it right now, the fact that they want him to turn on the Druzhba pipeline, which is feeding Slovakia and Hungary, and they're very pissed off at Ukraine, and they're causing severe problems in the European Union because of what's happening in Ukraine. So they actually want to investigate. European Union's like, we want to investigate it. And they're like, you don't need to. You should just take my word for it. Why would I lie? And ultimately, we're going to find out it wasn't damaged, because Russia says they didn't damage it. Only Zelensky says it was damaged. Most people are pretty sure, and maybe spies have already been there, and they don't want to admit it. But maybe it's just been turned off. And that's what it sounds like happened. And if that's the case, well, he's now messing with European Union members. An act of war, essentially. It creates a problem. And right now, NATO's got big problems. I can't wait to talk a little bit about that. China-U.S. Trade talks end in Paris as doubts grow. Well, okay, so this, again, zero hedge, so they're so China-owned. It's unfortunate. All said, here's what happened. They had a meeting. The talks were discussed. Ultimately, what's going on is Trump, they're calling it logistics. That's the word they're using. Logistically, it would be challenging to go there when we were planning on going there. Logistics implies a lot of things. I mean, certainly we could say safety, potentiality that somebody wants to kill Trump and it's a communist country. And no offense, I just don't trust your CCP to make sure I don't get assassinated the second I walk off the plane. No, thank you. Or China's going to be involved in some sort of war at that time. I'm thinking it's more likely the first one, Trump not being safe to go there. So, yeah, they're making it delayed. They're still talking. They've still got people going and talking. They're going to continue to do that. Both sides are saying, no, everything's good. We're cool. So again, logistics headline, just so you know, zero hedge. Right? Bugs. I used to like these guys so much more. It's been bugging me. You guys know. Anyone who watches me, it's bumming me out. China-U.S. trade talks end in Paris as doubts grow over Trump-Xi summit. Doubts grow. Get out of here. China ByteDance. I don't understand what's up with this. This is weird. China ByteDance secures access to advanced NVIDIA AI chips for global expansion. Why are we okay with that? China's going to use this to do AI stuff. These are the best chips, the best of the best. Why are we already past that? I mean, they were talking about the new chips. Oh man, I already forgot the sodium something or other, rather than the standard silicone wafer. They have some sort of new sodium, magnesium or sodium. Can you put those two together? Sodium something, some sort of weird thing. Super fast, I guess. I feel like we're just probably miles ahead of everybody. We're letting China kind of catch up. It's like, all right, we'll give you some. Be nice, or we'll beat you down. But thank you. Very interesting story that's being pushed, and I've heard a number of content creators. I kind of almost want to say Rattletrap guy. Was it Darren? What's his name? He I think might have been the one I heard saying this. It's kind of interesting, but. No, I don't know. I forget who it was. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Israel police, I could just start listing off all the people I pay attention to from time to time. Israel police said they found missiles and interceptor fragments at holy sites in Jerusalem's Old City on Monday, including areas near Al-Aqsa Mosque and the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. This is the Dome of the Rock. Many people are talking about, and this is one of the paths where they want this to be destroyed, but it has to be destroyed in a certain way. Otherwise, it can't happen. So it has to be Iran, essentially, destroying it. It can't be Israel doing it as much as they want to. I think, if I'm understanding the history properly on that. Anyway, all said, this is interesting that this talk is being shared, right? Like they're trying to get that in the consciousness. They're trying to get people to think or talk about it. And again, I don't necessarily think it's good that I'm doing that, but it is one of the prophecies that a lot of people want to happen. I'm going to put it that way. I'm going to say it that way. Here's Trump. What is he talking about? Let's get a little cue up on this. Let's see. Oh, yes, he's pissed off at NATO. I like this one. NATO is, and I think that's been a big part. So anyway, he asked for the ships. And I don't know, he talks about this, I think. But he asked for everybody to send some people to help. Let's help clean up Strait of Hormuz. Send some of your navies down there and we'll help out. And everyone so far has said no. Now, that's partially why I looked up to see who gets oil from there. So I'm like, I thought some of those guys got oil from there. Come to find out, it wasn't, actually. And you'll be a little surprised as to who gets the oil. And you'll also then fully understand why Trump doesn't care that much. We get some of our oil there. We don't need to. We can get it from other places. But I think California is where we get a majority of the oil that comes from there. So Trump's kind of like, fuck you, Newsom. This is a play against the deep state. The Hormuz Strait being shut down is not really our problem.
I think it's a good thing for other countries to come in. Now, it would have been nice, as I said to the Prime Minister of the UK, who sort of was reluctant to put his 2 aircraft carriers into harm's way. That would be 2 weeks ago. And as soon as we demolished, essentially, pretty much demolished them, not over yet, but pretty much we're in great shape. Let's put it that way, as everybody knows. He said, we'd like to send our aircraft carriers. I said, I don't want them after we win the war. I want them before we start the war. So whether we get support or not, but I can say this, and I said it to them, we will remember.
And that is the important part. Trump is now got reasons to consider pulling out of NATO. Or being a lot more demanding, but whatever the case is, he's like, you guys aren't helping us. You're not our allies. When we needed you, where were you? Well, it wasn't a North Atlantic thing that we were dealing with. You just arbitrarily started blowing up deep state people. We can't support that. So Persian Gulf produces about 29% of the world's oil. Again, I'm trusting the assistant here. I didn't go digging all this up. It's just easier this way. But with Saudi Arabia being the largest exporter, followed by Iraq, United Arab Emirates, and Kuwait. Okay, so from the Persian Gulf, Saudi Arabia, percentage of the world oil production, about 40% total, but not all of it's coming out of the Persian Gulf. They have the other side, and they also have a pipeline that they're able to move some of it, which is what they're doing right now. It's not the full amount that they would typically offload there, but they are able to move pretty large quantities across their country to the other port. But there is some nonsense happening over there. I think that's the Red Sea. Iraq about 10%, excuse me, of the oil. United Arab Emirates 8%, Kuwait 6%, Iran 5%. Now, the key buyers of this, China's 37.7% of all the oil purchased out of the Persian Gulf comes from China, or goes to China. 37% of their oil supply. Didn't we just take Venezuela? Wonder what percentage of their oil supply that was. And if we take over Karg Island, oh, shucks. How much of that 37% is going to go to nothing? Japan's 15%, which is interesting. India, 10%. South Korea, 8%. United States, 7%. Probably mostly California. So that's how the breakdown's happening. And why I think Trump doesn't care. Nor should he. Here's President Trump on Air Force One. Says that Iran's video of the kamikaze boats and all this is all AI nonsense bullshit. Check it out.
I just put out a truth about their disinformation. I assume most of you saw it. And they use AI. They said they attacked the USS Abraham Lincoln, one of the largest ships in the world, an aircraft carrier. And they show pictures of it burning. It was never attacked. It was never burning. The Wall Street Journal put out a false story that 5 of our big, beautiful tankers that we feed the planes with, give the planes the gas, jet fuel, hundreds of thousands of gallons of gasoline, that they were all essentially destroyed. They weren't destroyed at all. In fact, 4 of them were not even, literally were not damaged. And 1 of them has slight damage and will be back in the air soon. But if you read the Wall Street Journal, it's like they were totally decimated and destroyed, like Iran has been. So they put out phony stories. The kamikaze boats. The kamikaze boats don't exist. They're fake. And you can almost see that when you look at them. It looks great, because if they did exist, we'd hit them just like we hit other boats all over the place. But they don't exist. In fact, some of the people say, where are the boats? How come nobody's seen the boats? You know why? Because it's AI generated. It's fake. And I didn't realize this before we started, but Iran is known for a lot of fake news. And they deal with our fake news. And I actually think it's pretty criminal because our media companies, who have no credibility whatsoever, are putting out information that they know is false. And it's a very dangerous thing for the country. I think they could be in serious jeopardy.
Many people, and I don't want to call out people, but there's definitely conservatives right now, the ones that I've talked about before in the past, that capitalize on sensationalism. So they'll make scandal where it doesn't exist. They'll make things up because it creates clicks. It's successful. It gets you money. It is the most successful way. If you want to have a successful business, any sort of entertainment, that's what you're trying to do, is get clicks. Now, if you're somebody that's trying to be a personality, or somebody that's trying to be somebody that's offering help in some sort of way, these days authenticity is key. And chasing the click and authenticity do not mix. They don't. They never will. I look forward to you finally seeing that and going, you're right. Authenticity is what sells in the end. All said, Trump is that, right? And I think kind of that's been the point, the example, the thing that's shown to us. We're living through this movie together. Why are things playing out the way they are? We forget we're not part of it as much as we are holding the flashlight, some of us anyways. Iran says cardboard Khomeini in perfect health as rumors spread of leg amputation, and he might be a poofter. Well, they're saying that he is. They're saying he was supposedly hitting on some of the people in the hospital. I don't know. I like it because Iran's so good at spreading rumors and crap within our media, like they do. Deep state, really. But we are very good at doing the same. Like I said, the thumbnail I wanted to do probably would have gotten me in serious trouble. Not anything that would have gotten me arrested, but it would have created problems. Hormuz Thaw. It's an interesting thought process that's going on. In best sense, saying, hey, Iranian oil tankers actually can transit. We've got examples of it. Here's one, first off, example. Nope, not that. Here. Whoa, shit. You're not even close to where you're supposed. There you go. Here's one example of this particular boat making it through. I'll start it there, right? I don't know why he goes so close to. That's, I think. I don't know where the island is. All said, yes. So he gets through. I mean, long story short, it's exciting. Woo! Yay! Drew a big penis. No, he didn't this time. Because, well, yeah, unless you got something wrong with it. That's got a real bend in there. Maybe that's Epstein's. Who knows? I've heard it like egg-shaped. That could be it. That could be it. Got the little dot at the center there where the island is. Very funny. Who knows? Israel is Oh, shoot. I think there was one other thing I think on there I was supposed to get. I got lost. So yes, that's one thing people are going through. Bassett was basically saying, like, look, here's the deal. Ships can get through. They're going through. Some of them even keeping their transponders on. So, yeah, it's just, they were worried. They're starting to work their way through. It's starting to clear itself up. Really, it's Iran that's got to be careful not to sink one of its own ships. So what we're trying to do is essentially, go ahead. Hide in with others. China's flying, doing a ship through there. All right, try to maybe be right next to it if you can. I know they can't because it's actually a very, very narrow passage where they can kind of get big ships through. These lanes are pretty small, so. But yes, there is, and I think, the fire. Trump, I feel like that's that part in an airplane where it keeps popping in, at the end and they're crashing, right? It's when want you to know everybody's counting on you. One of the best movies ever. I thought I had Trump. I don't, but I'm going to. Whether we support him or not, I can say, this is the NATO thing. Yeah, we'll remember. Anyway, okay, sorry. I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything. There was a couple cool things in that. Israel expects Iran war to continue at least into April. Israel, I actually kind of think is going to ultimately be the problem. Israel does not want to stop having war. Netanyahu is probably not a good guy. I'm really starting to see that. Like, I was having a chat with a dude at the gym today that's on the left, hardcore. It was so cool. We found common ground on this. Israel. It's fantastic. And we had a really cool conversation. He's a nice guy. I get along. He's from Boston, though. He's just, and it seems like everyone from Boston is, like, left-leaning. It just has to be. I don't know. And they always have that face because it's, like, cold or whatever. I don't know. No offense to people from Boston. Israel is expecting this to continue. Israel does not want to stop blowing stuff up. There's rumors flowing around that they're going to go after Turkey next. That would be catastrophic for them because we are in a big pickle. And maybe that's why we got to pull out of NATO if that has to happen. Again, how much of the prophecy needs to be fulfilled, we'll see. I know a lot of people want it to happen, and well, we'll see. We'll see. I know the deep state's directly involved. I'm just going to say that. So I think a lot of it is us trying to shift the reality, and I think we're going to be reasonably successful. We seem to be so far. Like Trump says, we're ahead of schedule. I think we are. Iranian drone strike takes out a fuel tank at Dubai airport, temporarily halting flights. I mean, they're hitting the fuel tank, energy stuff, interesting, but like they could have blown up a plane. They could have hit the terminal, right? But they hit a fuel thing. They're controlling these things, I think, because I've seen some video that looks like there's some intelligence to these things, and then they're like, boom. So it's to make a statement more than anything. It was kind of like when Iran attacked all the stuff, sent all the missiles, right? They're showing their force. The Iranian people don't want to look weak, don't want to look defeated per se. We want the Iranian people to rise up in success of their own country and us helping remove the military things holding them down. It's really how we want this to play out, which goes totally catastrophically opposite of what the deep state timeline is, which is to have Gog Magog. And if we become friends with Iran again, there is no Gog Magog. That's done, which is a better outcome for most. We're in an awesome place. And again, we got some crazy shit coming, folks. Doomsday Fish. I mean, I want to speculate. I so want to speculate. I almost should create a separate weird channel where I just talk about wild ass crazy shit. That'd probably be more successful. But we'll see. Maybe I'll end up doing that someday. Be fun. Pentagon deploys expeditionary unit of Marines to the Middle East. This was in the West Pacific, and it's basically got some stealth fighters, the F-35s, vertical takeoff. It's smaller. It's got amphibious abilities, and it is, I think, close to 5,000 Marines. So it might be useful. Some people are like, well, they're going to try to take over Iran. No. What we might take over and protect it for Iran is Karg, that place with all the oil, that place that's feeding China. Uh-oh, what are you going to do about it, China? Oh no, you're going to tariff us? Again, this might be why some of the discussions they're having right now are a little questionable anyway, because we're at war with China right now too. And China wasn't ready for the war. They just weren't. It was too soon. We turned in on them. This is awesome. I don't think there's anything new, but we should do a quick refresh and see if Israel nuked somebody or something. Trump warns bad future for NATO. Yeah, there's nothing new. Okay. Fantabulous. We got a couple more things, guys. Oh, okay. So here's the third rail thing a little bit. Sorry. Look, I'm just I'm gonna share a couple things that I've talked to some people on both sides of the fence that really do kind of know scriptures, if you will, and those that actually know the Muslim scriptures. Right now, there is a Gog Magog push by the deep state for that timeline to hate people that are Muslim. Now, Islam and Sharia definitely don't exist. Islam is a radicalized version of Muslim. There's radicalized Christians, all would agree as well, right? So radicalization of anything generally is bad, right? Now, in the 80s, it was cool, but not anymore. So if you're radicalized, you're probably off into one of the extremes. Now, do religions, or at least the scriptures, teach violence? Is one of the key things. Now, a former New Yorker claims he witnessed foreigners arrive poor and now all of a sudden they're rich. And really, a lot of this, as he's talking about, is kind of, because they're creating mosques, is meant to foment, I should say, the religious hatred. You can do whatever you want. You can hate whoever you want. I'm not trying to tell you how to live your life. I will say hate is a really bad thing to hold in your heart. And I don't believe it's what we were taught by Jesus. And it's funny is most of the stuff that speaks of killing, when it comes to the Bible, the Christian Bible anyway, is really more in the Old Testament. New Testament, not as much. There's a Matthew warns, not everyone who claims to follow Jesus will enter the kingdom of heaven. That's not violence in any way, shape, or form. Don't mind that at all. But Deuteronomy 13, 6-10, commands to kill family members who entice others to serve other gods. Also Deuteronomy, I don't know why I can't say it, directs the execution of those who worship other gods. This was 17, 2-5. Deuteronomy 20, 16-17 instructs the Israelites to destroy entire cities that do not follow God. Within the Torah, the first 5 books, right? Isn't Deuteronomy in there? If not, whatever, but still, Old Testament, there's discussions of this. Leviticus prescribes death for homosexual acts viewed as violations of God's laws. Exodus 22:19 states that anyone who sacrifices to other gods must be put to death. There's scripture on our side of the fence, and again, I don't think it really happens as much in the Old or the New Testament, but the Old Testament, where we kill all over the place. Now I ask the same question of the Quran. which again, I've never read, and I kind of don't want to. I've not even finished the Bible yet. I'm far from it, for that matter. But the Quran contained several verses that discuss violence, particularly in the context of conflict and self-defense. However, these verses are often interpreted with specific historical and situational context. As all said, they encourage fighting and self-defense against those who fight Muslims, but prohibit transgression, meaning that you're not really allowed to attack. If on the defense, fight with all your might. Fight for God or whatever. They also command to fight idolaters, idols, lovers, I guess, who break treaties with a focus on those who are hostile. So if you break an agreement and attack me or something, or I'm already a hostile person, which is what they probably consider us, most Muslim nations, because we've broken agreements. We have. Deep state. Again, they break agreements. They're horrible. Also allows for asylum for those who seek peace, and emphasizing not all non-believers are targets. And they also state there shall be no compulsion in religion, highlighting the prohibition of coercion. It, for the most part, is nonviolent. That's what I've heard Muslims say. It preaches peace. I'm not saying it's a religion that you should go into. It's not one I'm interested in. It just isn't this violence and dooms that everyone says it is. It's not. It's not. It's not in their scriptures. Islam, yes, radicalized. Sharia law, yes, but it's not the same thing as Muslim. And again, I'm not trying to give anyone any credit. There's plenty of Christians. God, the Catholic Church, man, the amount of shit we've got in art. I mean, deep state's everywhere. And so I wish we wouldn't subscribe to this idea that I've got to hate somebody else for any reason at all. And I wish we could do that better. I hope I didn't lose too many subscribers. Jordan Seda posted this, and I just thought it was interesting. Yeah, he's got good kind of, pops up some good stuff. Said Trump made his Truth Social post about UFO disclosures on February 19th, directing his agencies to begin the process of identifying and releasing government files related to ET life, UAP and UFOs, and all other related info. General McCasland goes missing on February 27th. Given McCasland's Air Force background and connections to John Podesta, Tom DeLonge from the UFO disclosure push of 2015-2016, I can't help but think those two events are related. As if McCasland booked it because he didn't want to answer any questions about the Trump administration's disclosure push, or knows his name would come up in the investigations and file releases. So McCasland was apparently a stringent Dem Kamala voter, and is associating with DeLonge and Podesta, seems to be questioning. So he goes missing, meaning goes into hiding. Something to think about, guys. And just something fun. Apparently, Antarctica, there's some weird gravity hole. We've got a couple places supposedly on the planet, and they've tried to actually map some of this out, where the gravity's a little different. It's like more gravity, so you'd be fatter or heavier or something. I don't know, who knows. But one of them's kind of out in the middle, I think the Indian Ocean, they said. And the other one is supposedly in Antarctica. Can't talk today. And supposedly it's a significant gravity well there. That's the biggest gravity well. The other one's the largest in size, and it's like 1 point some odd million square miles. Like, it's huge. 1.1 million square miles, roughly, they say. This is not the biggest, but the strongest. Again, Antarctica, a lot of people believe the Earth's flat. I think a lot of that ties into they don't want us to even think that Antarctica is possible. And that's fine if you believe there's an ice wall. I would never try to argue that with you. It's not, I don't care really, frankly. But for those of us that think the Earth's round, Antarctica, I kind of always think, like when the last pole shift happened, I think it was probably either part of Antarctica, because it's supposedly fractured. Some say Greenland might be part of it. And that would actually kind of make some sense, that it broke into two pieces. And one of them ended up in Antarctica, and the other one ended up as Greenland, maybe Iceland being part of that too. So these things I think we will find out in the future, and we are going through some interesting changes. And I think the next few years will be very telling. And I think Trump is doing what is necessary to make sure we ascend properly because the deep state dark wanted to keep as much dark energy on this planet, and the planet would not have ascended. The planet needed help getting its energy high enough so it could ascend. And it needs to, because it's got it, so if it's got to shake some people off, it will. But there's people that are here to help with this, and that's what many of us are here to do. So we are in a giant transition. It's good times. I love it. And I'm glad to be alive, and I'm glad you guys are here with me. Certainly, we're going to keep fighting the fight, and we'll take it step by step, day by day, right? It's like foggy day, right? Just put your hand out and make sure you don't bump into anything. Walk slow. We'll get through this. We got this. Where we go one, we go all. It's on the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle.